It was so hard for me to get anybody to rent to me an apartment. You know, I had the money put up, I'd saved the money. I had called numerous apartment complexes that were supposed to be second chance, and nobody would, after they saw, you know, my record on paper, would rent to me. So, you know, I told my daughter, they need to see me, you know, because they see this record that looks horrible, and so they have this stereotype of what I probably look like in their head. So I went to this apartment complex, and the lady saw me, and I told her, you know, my story and, you know, where I am today opposed to what that piece of paper says. And she said, well, I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath I'd like to show you. And she said, well, I need to talk to the owner of the complex. And so he was like, oh my gosh, have you seen this record? No way, can we rent to her? And she was like, no, I think it'll be okay. She rented to me, and I was good on that lease. But when they were bought out by somebody else, I had to reapply when my lease was up, and I was denied. And I haven't been able to find any place to rent to me since. And I've been out 3.5 years. That happened 2 years ago. That's been my biggest struggle since I've been out. You know, I'm grown, I don't want to live at home, but I really don't have a choice right now.
Before I went to prison, my mother had purchased a home so that she could keep an eye on me and keep me safe, a home of my own. When I got out and I got pregnant, I needed that place to stay, so I moved into that house. It's a small house built in 1930. Me and my son are loving on it. It's old and it's falling down, and we plan on remodeling it and staying there, and just being overly blessed by the fact that we have a home.
I had a place to stay at my mom's house, you know, and I could stay there as long as I wanted to on the ranch. So that was a blessing in disguise. I said, well, at least I have a home. I have a roof over my head. The room was small, but prison was smaller. We were just in a small cubicle, so I was okay with that. At least I had privacy. I had a door, and my own bathroom, so I was not going to complain about that. So I said, well, I guess I need to start saving up for a place, Mom. And she goes, you don't have to go anywhere. You can stay here, and you can stay here and save up. And she goes, matter of fact, she goes, I enjoy your company. Have somebody to talk to, somebody that wants to cook for me, you know, and clean, you know, with me, and have a conversation with. It's been amazing. We've built this wonderful relationship. I was never close to my mom. Now we're so tight and we're so close. And so something good has come out of that.
Whenever I got out of prison, housing was definitely a challenge for me. I had a great job. I was making good money. And so I started trying to look for an apartment. And a lot of apartment management companies have this 10-year rule that you have to not have your last felony conviction has to be 10 years ago before they will let you move into their apartment community. I was 51 years old, starting my life all over again, starting my retirement all over again. And I just really started looking toward the future and for ways that I could save money. And my stepdad had passed away, and they had a motorhome. And so today I live in a motorhome. I have a very simple life, and it's really cool. It's allowed me a lot of freedoms that I wouldn't have had if I'd been tied down to a mortgage or to an apartment lease. And so I've really done well with that. It's perfect for me.
When I got released in December, I went to a sober living home, and I didn't know what I was coming to. I had done it all by phone because I was in College Station, and I don't have any family really. Most of my family is deceased, so I didn't really have anybody to look into it for me. So I called Melissa, my friend, who had been out for a while, and she went and checked it out, sent me pictures, and it was good. It was within an okay price range. I was going to pay $600 a month. Well, when I got there, the living situation was not what I had expected. There was a man there with his 2 wives, and it was just like, it was a very weird situation. And I was very uncomfortable. And, you know, I had told my parole officer about it. You know, I know I had just moved in, but it was already uncomfortable. And he said, well, just to keep in touch with him, let him know, and, try to find something that would better suit my needs. Anything, something that's not going to put me at risk in any way. I actually happened to hear from one of my friends, my best friend from high school, his wife. We got reconnected, and I found out they live just a few miles from where I was. And they're like, tell me about their church. They would love for me to go to church with them. And I told them about my living situation. They're like, well, we have a room. And I think this is a God thing, because we could use some extra money, and we would love it if you, and they, I guess they had talked about it, and they're like, we would love it if you'd come stay with us. It was like, and it was just a godsend.
As far as getting in place when you have a felony was hard because the first place I went to wouldn't rent to me. But then I went into the third place, I believe it was. I laid everything on the line right as I walked in. This is what it is. This is what I've done. And she said, no, she said, no problem. And within 2 weeks, I had signed a lease and moved in. It's just all about not giving up. You can't give up, because if this door doesn't answer, knock on the next one. If that one doesn't answer, and it may be 10 times, it may be 15 times, but the point is, if you keep asking, you will find somebody. And if you just let God lead you in the right direction, you will find somebody that is willing to work with you. You can't stop just because you got 1 or 2 no's. You just can't, because with a felony on your record, you are going to get no's, and they can't let that hinder them. They just got to keep looking.
When you get out, there's so many struggles, and one of them is finding a job. I am very determined and I'm very hard-headed, so that was a plus for me, because I don't take no, for an answer, and I don't give up. It didn't come right off. It didn't come easy. And when I first got out, I probably went on 20 interviews. And every one I went on, I either got no's or I'm sorry, we can't hire you because, of your background. I was very open. I would always tell them up front.
Well, right now I have a job waiting tables, and it definitely makes ends meet. I do pretty good, but it's not something that anybody could do for the rest of their life. But most restaurants don't ask if you're a felon or not, and they don't care. And it wasn't until, I've worked at the same job for 2.5 years, and it wasn't until this last weekend, my boss was like, you ask for a lot of Saturdays off when we're busy. What is up with that? Why do you keep going to the prisons? And I had to tell him, and he was like, you were in a high-speed chase? Precious Melanie was in a high-speed? No way. And I was like, oh my gosh, you don't know the person I used to be. I think you would be surprised that there's a lot of employers that have friends or loved ones that have been to prison or struggling in an addiction, and they might even grant you the interview because they want to hear what you have to say, in hopes that their loved one will be where you are right now too. So wherever we are is where we're supposed to be, and I feel like God's going to open the door for the right job anyway. So there's no point in lying about it, because if that job's for you, you're going to get it.
When they called me in for the interview and it got time for that question, I was just honest with them. There's no point in lying about it. They're going to find out. I'd rather them find out from me being honest and open and upfront about it than finding out that I had lied or tried to hide it. And so I told them about it and told them a little bit of my story, and they just were blown away by it. And I got a call the next day saying I was hired. My boss has been he's like my biggest cheerleader. He really is, because he sees where I came from after I've told him everything, and he sees who I am now, and he knows how hard I'm trying, and that I'm very genuine in that, and that I'm not a bad person. I'm just someone who made a bad choice.
Some of the advice that I have for those, that are being released and they're going to go look for a job is to talk to your parole officer to see what type of job searches they have, because I know that here in our parole office they offer job search and they offer help with resume writing. I heard other people talking about a program called Fresh Start, and it was for those that were recently released from incarceration. So I approached the counselor and asked her about it, and she was able to get me into the program, and so they ended up paying for my school, and they allowed me to work as a transitional for a year while I went through school. And during that time, they changed campus managers, and the campus manager that came in liked me, and she created a permanent position for me. And so that's how I ended up with Goodwill. Also with Goodwill, if you can get your parole officer to get you a referral to Goodwill. Goodwill is a very big second chance. There are other programs you can call 211 and they can refer you to programs as well. They'll help you with getting closed to go and interview, and then they will help you with resume writing. Whatever jobs that you had while you were incarcerated, you can add those into your resume. It's very good for you to have a well-written resume, one that is short and to the point, and one that will highlight your skills as opposed to highlighting timelines. If you have references, keep log of your references so that they can give you a reference letter if it's required by the company.
So a woman that I know that's in recovery, her daughter asked me if I wanted to be into private home health care. And so that's what I do today. I take care of the elderly in their homes, and I'm trusted, I'm trusted. I have that. I've got letters of recommendation for the ladies that I've taken care of. Their families have written me a letter of recommendation in case I need it, because I'm not a CNA, but I can be after I'm off parole in 5 years. I can go get my CNA license, which that's what I want to do.
Right now I'm working at Subway. I just recently got that job. I've been there, I guess maybe a week. And it's awesome because I could communicate with people. And I'm only working there part-time right now, but it's something that keeps me steady, pays my bills. I'm able to give back to my community, but it keeps me busy, staying focused, staying busy, doing what needs to be done. It keeps you out of trouble.
I put out like 50 resumes pretty quick, and my mom even said to me, if I hadn't seen you do it, I wouldn't even believe that you'd done it, because nobody called me for like a month. But I had this faith. God had already told me that he had a job for me. I mean, literally, I knew it was gonna be okay. I just had to be patient. I knew it before I even left prison that he had a job. I just felt it in my heart, and I stood firm. And I kept telling my mom that, and which is really not like me, because I tend to be a little worrier, and I don't know why no one called back. As a recruiter now, I know some things. You find out who that person is that's hiring, you call, you ask questions, you get to that person, you kind of be a squeaky wheel, although not an annoying squeaky wheel. You call maybe once or twice, get your name out there. You ask people at your church, you ask your friends, you ask your family if there's any jobs, you ask them to put your name out there to give references, to give recommendations, to put your name in other people's ear, to pass your resume along. That's where you're gonna find your positions. Don't give up. It takes work. You're gonna have to stick with it. It's not easy. Some people are reluctant to hire people who've been in prison. So it's probably gonna have to be someone who knows you, or someone who knows someone who knows you, is my best advice. That doesn't mean you can't just have someone who reads your resume, likes you, meets you, talks to you, gives you a chance. That can happen too. But present yourself well, dress nice, look put together. Don't wear jeans and a t-shirt. Dress up, look good. Do your hair, do your makeup, take pride in your appearance. That's what's gonna get you a position.
Sometimes unrealistic expectations can cause you to not pursue an opportunity because you think that opportunity is not the one because your expectation is higher. But I've learned in hindsight that God orders steps, not leaps and bounds. So you have to take small opportunities and work those, and through those opportunities they will cultivate into bigger ones, especially coming out of prison. Whereas God knows you, but the world doesn't. So you have to prove yourself at times. The first job that I applied for, I got it. But the pay was an insult. But I took that job because my options were kind of few. So I took that job, but the money that they started me off with, I ended up making double, because I used that time on that job to grow, to be nurtured, and I was like a shining star in that place because they constantly rewarded me with a higher opportunity that paid more. So I think that is something important that we need to kind of look at.
you're gonna have to take small opportunities at times. And it's through being faithful over little that you'll be, in turn, able to be put over much.
I took jobs that maybe necessarily I didn't want, but they were stepping stones to get me where I wanted to go. So I actually sold manufactured homes. I even went and got my certification. And, I think that my advice to women would be don't give up. Is just keep going on, and for every 10 no's you get, you're gonna get a yes. So just keep going, don't give up.
Well, it's just persistence. You have to really want a job. You can get a job. It doesn't matter where you've come from or what you've done. People want people that work. Yes, you'll be in more of a running with people that don't have a criminal history, but you can't let that deter you at all.
When I first got out of prison, I had worked in the print shop at Hobby for my time there, and so I had a job quickly. Within 30 days, I was working in a print shop in Houston, and I remember it was not easy. I would have to go and catch the bus. I had to transfer buses. I got bit by a dog. I mean, just crazy things happen. But I stayed grateful. I continued to press on into that relationship with God, and it wasn't easy, but it was doable, and I wanted to do it differently. I had such a desire for my life to never, ever go back to the way it was. This is how God is so instrumental in putting the people in your life. It's like it all lines up, and it's God's timing. It's not our timing. We just have to be patient and take those steps forward. We have to wait for Him to move.
Transportation was hard in the beginning, even though that I had my family with me. Of course, they couldn't take me everywhere. So I had to go out and look for a job. So I would ride the bus. And then during that time, I decided to go ahead and go to school. So I would have to take the bus an hour earlier because the bus that I took was always late. And so if I got to the next bus stop late, then I missed my bus. So I had to be there an hour ahead so that way I could make it to work on time.
At first, when I was at the halfway house, I rode a bicycle to and from work. I mean, whatever it took, and it was like a 5-mile ride there and a ride back, but I was willing to do whatever it took. But it's there. We have, thankfully I'm in a good city where you have that option. You have an option to take the bus, or they have like Uber drivers or taxis or whatever you need.
I did do a lot of walking. Because I did take a class, and the class place was not far from my mother's home. So because I had experience learning how to walk very well in prison, from chow to visits to commissary, it humbled me to realize that walking for something that I really needed or that I wanted was not something that I could not accomplish. So to have to start over without having a vehicle coming home was not that difficult, but it did have its challenges on extremely hot days. But because I had a strong support system, I did have some help with transportation. And once I got married, I kind of got a husband, a house, a car, and all that too. So, when God does it, He knows how to supersize combo that deal.
And it was hard at first going across there, trying to get there, trying to go to a job, trying to get to the store, trying to go do anything, and it was hard because sometimes I had to wait on people so they decided to say, yeah, I'll take you. Do you got some gas money? And know that you might not even have the money, but they still saying, I'm not going nowhere until I got some gas money. But God was in my favor. Mr. Wesley, I started cleaning up for him. That was my second job. And Mr. Wesley would say, hey, take my van. And I'd say, you sure? Yeah, take my van. And then I would bring the van back. What you bring the van back for? Go home. So Mr. Wesley, for a whole 2 years, Mr. Wesley, I kept his van.
Right now, living with my mother, I have no transportation to get to a job in order for me to work. And I can't get any money for myself. So that makes me have to depend on support. So it's a struggle. It's not coming easy, but I take one day at a time. I'm waiting patiently. I'm waiting for the Lord to tell me something. I mean, each day, it's amazing because whether I don't have money, it works out that somebody comes and just gives me a hand. Here, this is for you, and this is for you to keep going, because they see that I'm still focused on the Lord, that they're helping me to get to where I need to be. So I gotta go day by day and figure out what I'm gonna do next.
When I first got out, I depended on my family, and mainly my mother-in-law was the one that would drive me everywhere. And she didn't mind it because she knew I needed that at first, but at the same time, they pushed for me to learn how to drive again, because after 18 years, I had to learn everything all over again. But I'm a fast learner, so I picked it up. Just not in her car because she drives a Standard. No. So I learned in my grandmother's car. But that was one of the first things I did when I got home. Was they took me in the parking lot and taught me how to drive, and they worked with me on that. I got the book and a DVD, and we went through all of that, and I got my driver's license like in June after I got home in February. So one morning I woke up to get ready for work, and my grandmother had called the car dealership and took me up there, and I didn't have credit because of course I'd been locked up 18 years. So she had to co-sign for me. But I make all the payments. I make all the car payments every month. I make the insurance payments. I do that with my job and my money. She just helped co-sign for me, but I couldn't have done it without her.
My driver's license was suspended. When I come home, I was attempting to get my license. It ended up costing me because I wouldn't let my sisters offered to pay for it, my mom. But it meant something for me to say, I did this. I didn't have nobody do it for me. It cost me $1,500 plus the cost to take my driving test and written test. But I did it. It's just persistence.
It took me a year to get my driver's license because I had anxiety from driving. San Antonio had grown so much since the last 5 years that I had been here. And traffic was twice as bad. I mean, probably even more than it was the last time that I was here. So I had a little bit of anxiety, but I pushed through it with God, helping me get through it. And then this past year in March, I was able to purchase a vehicle. So now that's what I travel in.
Before prison, I always got what I wanted. I mean, I had great jobs. I made good money. Well, coming out of prison, it wasn't like that because I'm starting from the ground zero, from below, starting all over again, starting a brand new life. I knew what it was like to be without in prison. And so the best thing what I do is utilize my financial status is my needs. Make sure that I have hygiene, make sure that there's food in the fridge, have access to that. Those are basics. Well, those basics, time has changed in 10 years. They are tripled in prices. And I can't get over how expensive everything is. Sometimes you can't get your wants. And I want so many different things. Oh gosh, I can name 100 things that I want. But is it rational? No. Do I have the funds to meet that? No, I don't. So I have to budget because I have bills to pay just as well. It is about survival. And that's really, really important. If you meet all your survival needs, you have everything. And I feel like I'm rich in my own way because I have God in my life. I'm grounded with Him every single day. I talk to Him every single day. I have a roof over my head. I have food to eat. I have items to have clean laundry. It doesn't get any better than that. Just meeting my budget and meeting my needs. I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with it.
One of the most important things that I've been doing lately is rebuilding my credit. I used to have no care in the world whether I had credit or not. If a cell phone got cut off, I'd just go get another one. If my bank account got negative, I would just go open another one. Bills, if I couldn't pay them, well, I'd just get another company, whatever. But lately, the past year or so, I've really been working hard to rebuild my credit. It started with just the littlest paying off the littlest thing that you can, and then, taking on the next thing. And my credit score has gone up quite a bit.
When you get out, you are going to have credit problems because most of us went in having bills that we owed, and when we went in, we were not able to pay them. And reach out to the people that, you owed money to, start working out payment plans, trying to get it paid off. Anything that you can dispute it, because the credit companies now, if they pretty much reach out to the person that you owe, if they don't respond, then they drop it off of your credit report. So anything that's dropped off of there bumps it up. Get a secure credit card at the bank, even if you only have, $100 that you get from when you get out. Start paying on that every time you buy gas or groceries, then go pay it back. That in itself, in a few months' time, will build your credit up.
I got my first credit card the other day, and it's not even the fact of having a credit card that I can go blow and spend. I mean, I put a little bit on it, paid it off right away, and that's really helped. It's just those little things, that you don't think about when you're out there and you're tearing up your life. Credit's very important, and I'm still working on that. I still got a ways to go, but it's just been huge for me.
I grew up selling them drugs because what that money did is give me power, gave me things that my family never could get me. I said I didn't want my children to go to school doing without. I didn't want them asking nobody for nothing. So I'm gonna tell you what really got to me. When you so used to making the money that I was making out there, and you get a check saying $400 and or either $300, that's like, oh God, I'm gonna go down the street and make that in 5 minutes and come back, So when I just started saying, thank you, Lord, for this $400. Thank you, Lord, for this $300, and that's how I got over it. That's how I got over that. And he just started giving me raises after raises, raises after raises. I mean, y'all, you gotta serve him. You gotta serve him. And when you serve him, he gonna serve you.
Well, whenever I got released, I had nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. My husband now, actually, when I came home, he was laid off from the oil field, and now God has not only blessed him with a great job, but he has 3 great jobs. That's a blessing. God has just really blessed us financially. We haven't lacked in that area, but I know that that's because we tithe and we give the first 10%, of our income to God, and he honors that. He blesses that, absolutely.
I already had parole fees and no job, and being an entrepreneur, and being an ex-felon. I had to really depend on the support of the family. However, because I am a strong, independent person, I did seek to try to build myself to have some type of income. It wasn't always sufficient because I still had to deal with my responsibilities that I left behind with like tickets and warrants. And so I remember an experience where I had to handle some of that, and I went to talk with a judge, and he said, you got to either give me some time, some money, or some community service. So I didn't want to go to jail, and I didn't have the money because I was already budgeting. So however, I did community service. And so I'm so glad that God didn't blindside me or allow me to be blindsided by my blessing that was disguised as a burden by doing the community service hours, because I was able to satisfy my debt to society and the state of Texas, but God blessed me with my husband during that time. So God is just so amazing in how he allows grace to even render when we are reaping things that we've sown.
What I think is important about recovery is what I touched on about not being alone. You're not alone, and that this is something that you're going to need to work on for the rest of your life. Recovery is just about one day at a time. I tell some people, okay, If one day at a time is too overwhelming, take a minute at a time. And then when you get a little stronger, bump it up to 5 minutes. And then when 5 minutes you're strong enough, bump it up to 15. But don't get overwhelmed because you don't think you can make it 24 hours without using. Just slow down and say, okay, for the next 5 minutes, I'm not gonna use. That's the important thing about recovery. Am I willing to work on myself to figure out what leads me back to drugs, or am I not willing? Because I need everybody to know there is a big difference in being sober and being in recovery. Sober is not recovery. Recovery is when you're working your program. You're working every day. You say, you know what can I do tomorrow that I didn't do today that's a little bit better?
For me, I was released on like a Thursday. Sunday I was in church. Tuesday I was at Celebrate Recovery. By Wednesday I had already set up weekly Bible studies. When you're in prison, it's so easy to go to the Bible studies, to go to church, to read the Word, to really get down and deep. And when you're at home, there's so many distractions, and the littlest distraction can set you off at any time. So for me, it was important to do what I was doing inside as well as on the outside. And I was able to build healthy relationships with people that had either been through what I had been through and made it to the other side, or people that supported me and knew all my junk. To have the kind of friends that will stop you in your tracks and just pray over you, and you can literally feel that release, for me was powerful. I used to not have them kind of friends. I would have the kind of friends that would say, well, let's go get drunk, or let's go do this, or let's go party.
And I know it's many fears of the women that when they get out, that those old people, places, and things are going to crop back up. But you know what? I didn't visit them. I didn't contact them. I didn't go there. I sought out something new and fresh in my life. And I made new friends who were in recovery, friends who were going places, and I teamed up with people who had things that I wanted for myself in life, like a strong relationship with God, strong relationships with each other, people who were honest, and women of integrity are the people that I started having relationships with, friendships with.
You are your 5 people that you surround yourself with. You are them. If you surround yourself with good, you're going to get good. If you surround yourself with bad, you're going to get bad. But I'm in my Word every day. I'm up at 5 o'clock in my Word. I'm in church every time the door is open. I work a program. I work Overcomers. My sponsor, Carla, she's one of my biggest mentors. They're a phone call away. You just have to stay connected.
Know where your support groups are. Know where AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery are. Know where you can get some help. There's state-funded facilities out there. I did not realize that there were places that people with no insurance and no money could go for help. You just come in and you get evaluated, and then you get put on a bed list. And every city has one. A good place to start is to call your MHMR, because they will know where it's called an OSAR is, to go and get you a place to go.
Find a recovery program. They are everywhere. There's sober living houses that you can get on a list if they have a waiting list. Don't do it just for your kids, or don't do it just for your husband to love you or stop, or whatever. Just do it for you, to go out and find help. Find help and find a power greater than yourself. Everybody has their own higher power, but I know that Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the life. That's what I know. That's like I know my name. I was drunk one night and I cried out to God. I said, God, you said if I called on your name, you would save me. I sobered up miraculously. It was crazy. And so I got into a sober living house. I left my dad's. I got back surrounded by the people I needed to be surrounded by, and got clean and sober. And I just got 4 years sober.
It's crazy what God can do in you. In your mind, He can retrain your brain to actually do things different, to think different, give you new perspectives, new outlooks, So when you think that it's something that you'll never change or you'll never get out of, that's a lie. It's an absolute lie.
So in prison, I was always this dreamer. Oh, I'm gonna do big things. And I just, I would run on the rec yard by myself. And my dreams, it's as if I was chasing my dreams. But when I came out, things didn't work as I had envisioned in mind. And that right there can send you 1,000 miles in the opposite direction. But you have to understand the ways of God, to know that He's in control of time. And if it doesn't happen now, it doesn't mean it never will happen. So I had to really, really become anchored in my relationship with God to endure some of the disappointments and the hardships.
Well, I think that my story starts out with a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes turned into amazingness. So it's okay to stumble, and it's okay to get back up and love where you're at. When I first got out of prison, my cousin called me up, and he had been to prison, and he said, "Let's party." And I was so nervous and freaked out, and my family was like walking wide circles around me. They didn't know how to act around me, and I just wanted something to feel comfortable, and I knew that that party would. So I went out. This was 3 days out of prison, and I got drunk and I got pregnant. I was devastated, and I felt like I had been lying to everyone about my faith in God, because how could I have screwed up so big and been so in love with the Lord? And I thought there was no way that I was going to be able to make a godly life out of what I had just done.
People are going to stumble. They may have a minor relapse, or they may have a relapse for a long time, or they may fail when they get out of jail. But the important thing is you stand back up, you dust yourself off, and you go at it again. Because once you go at it again, you're going to get it. It may be on the 10th time, but as long as you keep trying, you're going to get it. It's when you stop trying that nothing good is going to happen for you.
The best part about the Lord is that when you fall, you don't have to stay there. God's grace is good. If you are willing and you turn back to Him, or you let Him help you, He will pick you back up, He will dust you off, and He will put you back on the right track and get you on your way. Where people tend to get in trouble and go down the wrong path and stay on the wrong path is when they fall and they stay there. They don't get back up and go back where they need to be. As soon as you realize the error of your ways, get back where you need to be. Get back in your word. Get back with the Lord. Admit your wrongs to someone you trust. It doesn't have to be addiction. It can be anything that you falter in. There's all kinds of areas we struggle. Grief, bitterness is one thing that I've also struggled with. Toward my husband, I was angry, very angry, and that fostered bitterness in my heart. That's probably the main thing that I've struggled with.
Being overwhelmed, especially with work or all these classes, it can be very overwhelming. Trying to control it all, do it all myself, and it's a pride issue. It always has been. That I think is that would be my biggest trigger, and I'm working on that today, because I have to learn that I can't do this all on my own. I have to trust. I have to believe that God has something planned for me. But I can't just think that I can do all this on my own. I have to trust and believe that God is right there with me. Anytime I'm going grocery shopping and I see I could just get a bottle of wine and I'll be okay, nobody would know. Yeah, but it's not about what everyone knows. It's about what you know is going to happen and how it's going to affect you, how it's going to affect your relationship with your family, your children that you've worked so hard to come to this point with. And I don't want, I have to keep that in perspective, all of that. I don't want to lose everything again. When is enough enough? When is prison going to be enough for you? When is that going to be your bottom? It's got to be now. That's it.
It was very difficult because when someone's raising your child on the outside, you're missing out on that. It hurts. I think that is the most painful part of prison, is the children. It's painful for your own children to watch that, and it's painful to watch all the women around you struggle and hurt. You can't make up for lost time, but I'm still restoring some of those relationship things. My daughter still asks my mom or me or whoever, is someone picking me up from school today? Not that no one ever didn't pick her up from school, but I think there's still that abandonment issue. Like one day her mom was gone, you know? And I think that still is rooted deep in her, you know? And I don't know if we can ever completely heal that for her, but we can certainly try. And we can certainly reassure her and build on that forever and make her feel loved and protected and safe and secure the best we can.
I always kept in contact with my kids while I was incarcerated. I wrote them every week. I sent them a card every week. Later on, after I had been in there a while, I was able to talk to them on the phone. So that really helped to keep that line of communication open and to rebuild that trust with them and let them know that things were going to be different, you know, whenever I came home, and that they would have their mom back. I mean, obviously, whenever you hear about somebody going to prison and them finding God or getting a better relationship with God, the first thing you think of is, oh, that's just jailhouse religion. You know, it's going to change, and it may be like this for a while, but they're going to resort back to their old ways, you know, and that's what's in everybody's mind. So they're always kind of hesitant to trust you and believe that you're sincere about the change in your life and the changes that you're going to make, and it takes time for you to prove that.
My mom basically raised my kids, you know. She's the one that bought their school clothes. She's the one that put braces on their teeth, you know. She's the one that took them to church. I didn't do any of that. My mother was so faithful. She came to see me every month for 5.5 years. And I couldn't hurt her anymore. So I kept good on my promises this time. You know, I got out of prison one time, or not prison, but jail, and it was like, so you're going out tonight? Here's all those letters you wrote me, you know? And I still walked away, but I really changed this time.
My mom was always there for me, even when I was out there doing the thing. And when I was in prison, she wrote me the whole time. She sent me money in the beginning. She didn't have money. That's totally fine. But when I got out, she didn't trust me. And I told her all these great things that I had learned and that I was going to do, and that God loved me, and I just wanted to love her, and she was very leery. It's been 5 years now, and she is trusting me, and she comes to me for advice, and she never spoke about God before when I was young. Now she'll always tell me, Amanda, what would God say right now? So I know that I'm planting seeds in her, and she's letting me love her, and that's amazing.
My relationship with my family, with my mom, because my dad has passed away, we didn't have a close relationship. It just was cordial, out of respect. You know, okay, you're my mom. Okay, I hear you. That don't mean I have to do it. Yes, I had some attitude issues. I admit, I'm not in denial. I'm not going to justify it. I'm being honest and truthful. But that's all changed. Now that I have given my life to the Lord, my whole attitude has changed completely. And so I had to repent and ask for forgiveness. And so now my relationship with my brothers and sisters and my mom is incredible. We have this closeness, this bondness, and what an opportunity, because that was like, to me, that was another door opening where God was moving in my family. And the message that I got from God was that He was going to use me to plant seeds with my family to get closer to God.
When I was in prison, I used to get letters from my children. And my children kept saying to me, they miss me, they miss me. And then one letter came in, which really was a real touching letter. And it came in and said, Mom, we don't want money. We don't want all of those things that you was trying to get from us. And you cannot buy our love. We just want you. We want you to be here. And when I got that letter, I started asking God, could He help me? Will He change me? Would He show me, you know, the way to be a real mom to my children? That's when God stepped in. God stepped in, because where he see I couldn't do it, He stepped in, and because I asked for it. I'm asking that you would just live the way God is leading you to live. And if you are living right, I'm telling you, God would change them children the same way He changed you, because He's no respecter person. Do not push your beliefs on your children. Do not tell them that they are living a wrong life. Just live it. And when you live it, they're going to see it and they're going to want it.
The process of restoring my relationship with my children was difficult. I was a soccer mom. I was the mom that all the kids came to the house. And so when everything happened and I lost their trust and I lost their, respect, it hurt. They were very disappointed in me. 2 of mine hated me and didn't even want to talk to me. One of my daughters wouldn't speak to me the entire time I was incarcerated. I didn't get very many visits. My son could not stand to see me locked up, so he came one time and that was it. He said, "Mom, I can't do it." So to go from being the soccer mom, the mom who, my kids would come pile up in bed with me and talk to me about anything and everything, to my kids just hating me was very difficult. So, I made up my mind that when I got home, I was going to repair those relationships, and I knew the way to repair those relationships was to prove myself, to show my children that I had learned from my mistakes, and to show my children that I loved them unconditionally and that I was going to be there for them and that I wasn't going to do anything that would take me away from them again. Just in the last 4 or 5 months, my oldest daughter, who really hated me because of everything that had happened, has since really come around. And again, I'll tell people that are incarcerated and that have gone through losing that relationship with their children, don't give up. But the main thing is show them when you get out that you're not the person that went in and you're not going to leave them again. I think that's the biggest fear for children who have parents that are incarcerated. And so they're afraid to develop that relationship again. They're afraid to develop that attachment. And so we have to prove to them that we're not, that we are going to stay out and we're going to, be a different person and we're going to be stable and we're going to be there for them.
So while I was in prison, I had lost, I didn't have a visit or anything for my children, but I did want to work on that relationship. They already didn't know that I was their mom. They called me Nana, and it was a very hard time, but I dealt with that. So at one point, I told my mother-in-law, I was like, "Look, I know we're doing this through the mail, but I will pay for the minutes. You don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is get the phone registered." So eventually, she got the phone registered, and I was able to start calling them. And I made it to where I could call them every weekend. So I started calling and building a relationship that way through the phone. Now that I'm where I am today, I go up there every other weekend. I stay with them for 3 days at a time, and they know I'm their mother, and they want me to be around more. They love me, and so it's great. It's like I actually have a relationship with them now, and it's something that I didn't have before. And I know it's all because God changed my heart. He changed everything about me, and it's because I let Him. I couldn't do it without letting Him. So I'm very thankful. I'm very glad with the way things are. It's a process. It's slow, and sometimes it's not as fast as I want it to be, but it's there. It's a work in progress, and I'm thankful.
I did write letters and ask for forgiveness, and I wrote the letters to my son, my sisters and brothers, and my parents. And I asked for forgiveness while I was incarcerated before I stepped out of the prison doors. And now I have a relationship with all of them, and we, get along. There's, like my son, he's 15 years old, but there's still a little struggle because once I stepped out, I can't just step in and take over. My mom's always been there for him. So we're still, but it's a relationship. It might not be where I want it, but it's happening now.
One of the hardest things for me is not being with my children.
I still don't have my children back into my life. I'm battling that out in court, and my kids are in another state. So in the 4 years that I've been home, I've seen them maybe 3 times for a total of 3 days. There's so many times where, you know, a mom thinks about her kids 24/7. There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss them and want them here. And I'm gonna cry, but they're just always on my mind. And to deal with that sober has been really challenging. But I say to myself that the end result is gonna be so worth it. You know, you can't go back to the old way of life because it just drew you further apart from them. So every day or any time that I do think about drowning out the pain, I always say, you know, I put my kids in one hand and the drug or whatever in the other hand. And now that I have a clear mind for the first time in years, I'm always going to choose my kids. So I fight to stay sober for them.
I thought I couldn't live without a man. I thought I had to be in a relationship. I mean, just thought that I was nothing if I wasn't in a relationship. And even when I was locked up, you know, it was like I needed a man to write me a letter. I needed somebody to validate me. And so I just thought, you know, when I got out, oh, I'm going to be straight into a relationship. It's going to happen. And believe it or not, I've not been. I've been strong enough to say, no, this time I'm going to pick the right one. And this time I'm going to do I'm going to have somebody who's going to treat me the way I should be treated.
Every time I got out of jail, every single time, well, I would go back to an old man or find a new one. And of course, it was an unhealthy relationship. And if they weren't using, you know, we either relapsed together or I found someone that was already using, and I just attracted those type of men. And every time I would get out, it's like I couldn't stand to be alone, you know, so I would get with a man and we would end up using drugs, and it would always end up back to committing crimes, and I would be right back in prison or jail or a rehab or some type of institution. You know, when we're sick, we pick sick people. So until you learn yourself, you have no business being in a relationship because you have nothing to offer. And I've said this before, but I see women, you know, and they're praying for this 15 adjective list of what type of man they want God to bring them. And then you couldn't handle that type of man if you got him, you know? Are you that same person? Because he's praying for that same woman with those 15 adjectives, you know? So I think you should get out and learn how to live in the free world first.
Being in a relationship, jumping in, you know, getting involved with a man, not even a relationship, just, you know, the obvious things, you know, after it's been so long, it's tempting. It is. It's very tempting, but it's just not healthy. And I saw so many women falling into that and jumping right into the things they were doing before. And it's scary. I'm thankful I have, you know, my morals now, which I didn't have these principles before, but it's still there. It's still a temptation.
Another deal for me was celibacy. You know, in prison, of course, I wasn't tempted, but when I got outside of prison, that's where, you know, everything came out, you know, and it's like, you know, relationships, you haven't been with a man in a long time in a relationship. So I was in a situation to where I was entertaining someone that I shouldn't have. Looking back, I must say, even as a warning to other women, never do that. You know, you can't underestimate yourself because you're still human. So putting yourself in compromising situations can cause you to compromise. So the lifelong consequence in that is that I'm a mother with a child that I'm raising out of wedlock. And when I made the announcement, these women looked up to me. They were like, you're opening a church, you're going to ministry school. And they said all these great things that one would say of a kingdom leader. And I said, no, I'm pregnant. You know, they knew I wasn't married, but they embraced it. Oh, it's a blessing, you know, but I experienced the love of God during that season like never before. Celibacy, I'm so big on that now. I'm an advocate for that because I know what it can do. I know what it can open doors to, even in emotional well-being. You have to think that it doesn't have to be like that. If you'll just exercise self-control and heed the warning of someone who's been there. Celibacy is a choice, and it's a choice well worth making.
Now, guys will come up to me, and they knew me back in the day, and they'll try to talk to me, but it's always God things. So that's God things always run them away anyway, So they try to get with me. They have tried to get my telephone numbers and stuff like that. They'll get it from other people. I just don't have nothing to do with them. I don't have nothing to do with them because I figured that one day when God know that I'm right to be with a man, he's going to give me that husband. He's not going to just give me a man. He's going to give me a husband. And I'm the type of person, I hate husbands. So I know he's going to give me one. I know he's going to give me one. Because what I hate, he always gives me to me.
I thought, we're clean, we're sober, this is my knight in shining armor. None of that stuff is going to happen anymore because he's clean. We're going to do this deal. We're going to stay in recovery. We're going to live for God. It's going to be okay. But it wasn't. 3 weeks after I left with him, I woke up in the middle of the night with his hands around my neck again. And God rescued me from that. 2 years ago, while I was at my mom's house over a Christmas holiday, going through a stack of mail, I discovered that in that same month, they had taken out a $50,000 life insurance policy on me and had forged my name to all the documents. So who knows what was going to happen when I left with him. And I know God saved me. God intervened. He was abusing me. I would wake up in the mornings and I could tell you what kind of day it was going to be, if it was going to be a good day or if I was going to have to stay clear. And so I just want to encourage the ladies that you don't have to go back to those relationships. There's a different way. It doesn't happen all at once, but believe me, over time, by making the right choices and surrounding yourself with the people who can support you and direct you when you don't know what to do, those good things start to happen for you.
One of the biggest challenges for me was when I had to get divorced. It was very challenging because I was, I left my husband a lot, and that was like one of my prayers was for him to know the truth about who Christ was. And he didn't choose that. He chose a different way. And so I signed the divorce papers, and the same day that I went to the lawyer, the deadline that I had to sign my divorce papers was the same day that I buried my dad. So it's very hard. Even though that we were divorced, we were still in contact with each other. I knew that I needed to let go. And I ended up going to this church, and they had a program there. It was called PTO Peeling the Onion. Probably about 3 or 4 days after I finished my PTO, he contacted me, and he told me that he was married, but that he still wanted to have me in his life. And I never answered him, and I just had to cut that contact with him.
I've been married for coming this April 30 years. So before we had a good relationship except when my addiction hit. And then there was a lot of, fights and everything over money because, just to be honest, I was stuck in the family drive buying the pain medicine that I was hooked on. And during prison, he was very, very supportive. After prison, we had a good relationship, but it was all about him deciding if he was, to trust me again. And that's a big issue that I want everybody to know that it takes a while. It takes a while, and if you get angry and upset about it, then you're just going to cause more strife in the relationship. 6 months does not make a difference to them because they don't care what's coming out of your mouth. They could care less. All they want to do is see. So when they see changes, is when they start trusting you again. And well, that goes for the kids too. They just had to decide if they trusted me or not. And that goes back to understanding that they have the right to feel that way, so that you don't get all upset and irritated, because they have the right. So I had no right to get irritated about it, like, well, where are you going? Well, when are you going to be back? Well, okay, so it just took a while. It took a while for him to trust me again.
I had a boyfriend prior to going into prison who I was not the nicest to, and he stuck with me through it all. I mean, every Saturday morning I was having a visit. I already knew to be ready. If I called, he answered the phone. And I remember, I would share scriptures with him over the phone that I had learned in Bible study or something. And so he's at home with his little bitty blue Bible and he's looking up scriptures. And his family made the comment that they saw Christ changing him, and he wasn't even, going to church. He was just talking to a girl on the phone from prison. A month after I was released, we were married. And he is my best friend. He knows all of this junk. He knows everything about me. He's my family. He's my best friend. He's just everything.
I met my husband in recovery. Like I said, he has almost 15 years. And I saw this kind of service work he does. He helps people in need. We've taken some people in. He's just a good guy. I've never been a submissive wife, and today I am. I'm a submissive, faithful wife, and that's never been me.
I've always believed in God and loved God, but when I was in my addiction, I did nothing about it. I didn't talk to him, and I have to be honest, the first 3 or 4 months that I was locked up, I wouldn't reach out to him for help because I felt hypocritical, because I had loved him as I was growing up and in my married life, but I didn't have anything to do with him while I was in my addiction. And I would sit there and say to myself, why am I going to reach out to God now while I'm in trouble? I didn't want to reach out to him when I wasn't in trouble, and I just thought that was hypocritical. I finally went to church, and a lady saying that he doesn't care when you reach out to him, he just wants you to come to him. And once I got over that, then my relationship became so strong, and I just had so much peace, and I just saw God's love everywhere. I mean, I had some struggles coming out, I did, but I also had such peace, and I acquired that peace while I was locked up, and I didn't want to lose that peace because, when I first got locked up, I didn't think I could breathe or make it through another day because I was locked up. But by the grace of God, he came in and gave me peace, and he gave me all of these loving people in my pathway. And I was able to endure that because of all that love, and I didn't want that feeling to ever go away. So I've made a big point to make sure that I keep my relationship.
I was raised in church, and the church that I was going to, well, I was kind of on the fence. Sometimes I would go when things were bad or I needed to pick me up. But whenever I was incarcerated, that was such a huge part. I was just so desperate and hungry to have that, presence just to be surrounding me, especially there. And so I figured if I could be in that situation and go and never miss, then what's stopping me from being, if anything, it's more of a challenge to have life happening around you and to still honor that commitment to serve God above all else, no matter what's happening. And he blesses that. So the first Sunday I was there and I got involved. I joined the church, which before I never was a member. The following June 1st, so exactly almost a year later, just a few days shy, I got baptized. And it was like, I don't know. I think that's what sealed the deal. And from that point on, not only has God just blessed me so much more than I could even imagine, but I've gained His strength and His power, and He's given me the ability to stay clean and stay on the right track and just make the next right choice. That's a huge part of my recovery and my sobriety, is just having that family and that support and just knowing that they're there. And it's also accountability. As long as you put yourself in the right environment, then He'll do the rest, you know.
Before prison, I did go to church and I thought that I knew God, but I didn't have a personal relationship with God. I didn't know that you had to or you were supposed to. But I learned that in prison by going to church and being involved with the church ministries that would teach us that. I gave my life to the Lord, and it changed everything. It changed my perspective. It changed my way of thinking. It changed my way of living. Even though I was in prison, even though I was locked up, but I started to be free in the inside.
Before prison, my relationship with God was really strained. I always knew that I needed to be in church. I knew that my children need to be there, but I let other things take priority over my relationship with God. I knew there was a God. To me, God was the God of my grandmother and my mom, and I grew up Assembly of God in a Pentecostal church, and God to me was like a punishing, condemning God, and so I was very ashamed and very withdrawn from God for many, many years. But prior to entering into prison, I'd had a spiritual experience in county jail. I was very broken, very destitute, and as most of us do, we reach out to God. We call those 911 prayers, and that's what I did. I could not stop crying and weeping before the Lord. And you know, I gave my heart to God then, and I remember getting out of jail again on another bond, and this time it was different for me. This time I walked out of jail and into treatment.
My mom never told me she loved me, so it was really hard for me. Anybody would say, well, Jesus loves you. You know, how could that be? You know, nobody loves me. My life before God, it was chaos. I felt like I was always tormented with my thoughts, my mind, things that I did. I was ashamed, I was scared. I was always hiding. But then when I went to prison, I was able to meet God, and I was able to move forward. I wasn't stuck anymore. You know, today I could move forward because of that. Today I don't have to stay stuck. I don't have to think about I think about my past, but I see the future, what God has done in my life.
But you gotta keep focused. You gotta keep doing the same thing that you was doing in that prison. If you was reading in that word and staying in that word, if you were fellowshipping with other people that are serving God, you gotta keep doing that when you get out there, because that's how you're gonna make it. That's how you're gonna make it. And when someone tell you you ain't gonna be able to make it, you gotta say, yes, it is, because through Christ, all things are possible.
God has given us a tool, though. The Bible is a tool. It feels like some things are outdated, but even the Old Testament has things that apply right now. Or ask people, advisors, trusted friends who know the Word. They can help you too. That's where you're gonna find the tools to help you, right in your Word. So let it, use it. He's given it to us for that reason. It's God-breathed, you know? He did that for us. It's His gift. Every time I do what He's asked and get in the Word, it feeds me. It clothes me. It gives me what I need. It protects me. Why I don't get in it more, I think it's the enemy trying to stop you because he knows that's what you need, and he will, not to give him credit. But sometimes we have to be real and honest about what we're facing out there, and it's the enemy. He will try and stop you and hurt you and take you down. Fight it with the word. That's your sword, you know? Yeah. Block it with your shield, you know? That's the tools he's given you, you know? Ephesians 6, it's right there. Protect yourself every single day.
It's important to know that, you know, the enemy has the basic things that he's going to throw at you, you know, like keeping you too busy to spend time in the Word when you get out, so you have to make time for that. He's going to magnify your insecurities to make you feel like you're inadequate. You know, he's going to bring up those old hurts to bring about feelings so you'll want to use. And if you know those things, he's going to cause disunity in your family any way he can. But if you already know those things are coming, you know, you already know the word, you know, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and I can do all things through Christ that strengthen me.
I didn't realize that God is a God of love. And once I went to prison, and once I got to experience the way the women treated you, and the way the volunteers treated you, the people that cared about you, you know, because they had God in their lives, it just changed my perspective. It changed the way, you know, I felt, because I could feel that love. And I never knew where it was coming from. I never felt that before. So after being able to experience that, having one-on-one time, having him speak to me, it was a life-changing experience. Now I know that I'm not alone. I feel his presence, and it's a good presence. It's not an angry presence. It's not a wrathful presence. It's not like you have to do this or you're not going to do this. And it's not that. It's that I love you and I want you and I need you, you know, and I love that. I need to be needed by God. So, and that's where I'm at today. I can't do any of this without him. I can't. If I didn't have him, I would be right back where I started, in a gutter somewhere. I try as much as I would like to be in my Bible every day. It doesn't happen that way. I spend a lot of time, prayer time. I have to have quiet time with him. So that's an everyday thing, especially at nighttime right before bed. I have to have that grounding time with him. I'm in my word at least 2 to 3 times a week. And I know it's probably not enough, but it's something. And I know that's what matters. You know, I have church on Sundays. I started doing a Bible study on Thursdays, and I think that's really important too, to have that fellowship, because if I don't have fellowship with other believers, then I feel like I'm doing this all on my own, and I don't want to do that.
Being left to see what I can do in the life, it landed me in prison. I had life into my hands for 29 years, and that's when I came to the reality that I needed God. So no matter what, we need God. We have to eventually surrender to the power of his care so that he can come in and transform our lives with his amazing grace and his amazing love. So for me, the only thing that caused me to survive was my relationship with God. We hear that, but the thing is that is the reality. You need God, and you need his wisdom, you need his thoughts, and you need his ideas implanted into you so that you can be transformed.
I would have to say that if there was something that I wish I had done in prison that I didn't do, it was probably work out. And just, you know, I laugh and say that, you know, all the women in white who think that when you get out you're going to lose the weight, it don't happen either, because you miss all the food that you miss out in the world. When you get out, it's going to be about 3 years before you eat it all. So you're going to gain it, you know, just get over it and then worry about it. So, you know, but I do kind of wish that I would have kept in better shape.
I decided to start a workout regimen, and I did watch what I eat. You're already limited as it is, but I didn't really get much commissary. So, you know, you can still live off of what you eat in prison. It's not always the best, but they do provide you with meals and vegetables and things. So I started working out in my cubicle. It didn't matter if it was running. I had headphones, so I'd, you know, run in place, you know, just anything. I pushed push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, anything that I could to just burn some calories. I eventually started trying to recruit women to do it with me because it makes it more fun, and it's just better that way. There was a point where it got pretty intense and I dropped down to like 130, and I decided I needed to just, kind of step back because I didn't want to get too skinny. I didn't want it to be completely consuming for me because it was kind of taking away from my spiritual time, my prayer time. I was spending more time working out than I was with God, and it was taking something away from me.
You have a choice. It always boils down to a choice. Do you want to stay the same person you were when you went in? Do you want to stay with the same mentality that caused you to go into that place? Or do you want to use that time to get better? You have a choice to get better or get better. And I battled depression for too long, and I had gotten, even after I got in there, I still battled depression. And I still battled wanting to die because I felt I was worthless. I felt I had no purpose in my life and everybody else would be better off if I was dead. And so I finally got to the point, God got my attention. Sometimes God has to set you apart to get your attention. And I believe that that's what he did for me in the time I was in there. And so I used that time to work on myself.
Stay away from anybody that's doing old things, because it's in prison too, people that aren't practicing what the word says. Just find friendships that are positive, people that lift you up, stay out of trouble. Life doesn't start when you get out of prison. Your life is still going on while you're in prison, and you can be making progress while you're in prison. So I would utilize all the programs that they have to offer.
Get involved. Get involved with any kind of program that you can that's going to help you to get a better relationship with God, to draw you closer to Him, whether it be the faith dorm, whether it be Bible studies, whether it be recovery programs, whether it be, church, anything. Just get involved, get that positive support and encouragement. And that's the only way that you're going to make it through in there. And also, it gives you the tools and the resources to equip you whenever you get out to be able to continue to stay in the Word and stay with positive people and have that positive support, because just like you need it in prison, you need it when you get out even more. So, that's what I would say. Just get involved.
I joined the faith dorm, and that was amazing. I joined the choir. I was in the choir at Mountain View. Mountain View choir was amazing. I went to Kairos, and that was amazing. So, those are the things that, I encourage anybody that's, incarcerated to definitely be a part of, because those are the things that are going to lift your spirit, and that's going to make you feel like the time that you're spending in there is not a waste.
Well, the biggest thing I've heard women say in prison is that when I get out, I'm going to do this, and when I get out, I'm going to do that. And the world doesn't stop because you're in prison. So utilize the time while you're in prison to get to know yourself and to get to know God and who God says you are. In the Word, He tells us who we are in Christ, and to not just believe that with your head, believe it with your heart.
Get grounded. Use that time. Use it. Use it to get grounded in Jesus, because if you don't, that was one of the biggest adjustments for me when I came home after doing 18 flat years, was how fast this world is out here. It is insane. And I still have trouble with that sometimes, even after 3.5 years later. It's huge. And if you're not really rooted and grounded in your relationship with Jesus, which is what the faith dorm helped me with, you really won't make it, because you're going to get caught up. Life is that fast out here. You're going to get caught up. And even when I go back in with different ministries, that's one main thing I tell the girls. Get rooted while you're in here, and you have the time. You have nothing but time. Get rooted and grounded while you can, because out here, it's not going to happen.
That's where you use that time to get in your Word, to learn how to be in your Word and stay in your Word, because when you get out, it's life takes over. It's so busy. It's so hard. Every day I find it challenging to stay in my word. I mean, there may be just a few minutes where I'm able just to grab one scripture and just ponder on it throughout the day, or even before I go to sleep for a few moments. And I miss that time. I don't miss prison. Don't mistake me there, but I miss that time where I had hours to be in the Word, or I was able to do as many devotionals a day as I wanted, where I was able to complete a year-long devotional or read the Word in a year. I don't have time to do that anymore, and you literally have to deliberately make time like that.
I'm glad that I went to prison because it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I would say seek God while you can, while you're in there, while you're away from all of the world and the worldly things. Seek God for guidance and let Him lead you and guide you, because the world will swallow you up if you're not ready for it. Be ready. You have to be ready to come back out here, because it is really serious out here, and there are going to be many obstacles in your way trying to stop you from succeeding in life. But if you just keep your head focused and stay rooted and grounded in God's word, you'll make it. But seek ye first, Matthew 6:33, the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And He's talking about the things of the kingdom of heaven. He's not talking about the worldly things. He's saying to us, if we would seek Him first, everything that we need, He will provide for us.
Stay in your word daily, because without that you lose. There's a lot of people don't think that there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the fences, but just as much nasty, dark stuff that goes on in the world goes on behind the fences. And if you don't stay in your word and stay completely grounded in what you want and focused on your Bible studies, you're going to class, staying completely just immersed with every bit of what God has for you. But redemption's real. It's real out there. It's real inside. You just have to want it.
I mean, I would go to sleep at night and I would just think of all the things that I was missing out on, and you know, what I'd done to my kids by not being there, and, you know, what were they thinking at night when they go to bed without their mom. And, you know, I still get kind of teary-eyed just thinking about that. But God showed me over time that was my time for Him to prepare me. And that time that I was in prison was just a very small sacrifice for the amount of time that I was going to really be there for my kids whenever I came home. And that this time was the time for me to prepare myself and get the tools and the resources that I needed to be able to cope with life whenever I came home, and not run to a drug or alcohol or pills or something like that to help me cope. This is just a small sacrifice. This is just a small amount of your life, just a blip that is not even going to be remembered for the time that you're going to be really there for your family and for your kids, and be the woman that, and the wife or whatever, the mother that God has called you to be. I honestly thought that going to prison was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and it turned out that God turned it into the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, God can change you. He can change everything. Just you have to open your heart and let Him come in and do a work in you, because all the bad that's happened to you, all of the circumstances that are in your past and going to prison, He can turn that all around for good and make it into the most beautiful, elaborate story, better than you could ever imagine.